Open a parish book from 300 years ago and you will find the same men written down twice, spelled differently. Mac on one line, Mick on the line below it. Same man, same family, same week, same clerk, same pen. Here's the thing almost everyone gets wrong. Mac is the whole prefix. Mick is nothing but a scribe's shorthand for it. M' is the same shorthand. So is the double version. 3 ways of saving ink, not 3 different peoples. There is no rule that Mac means Scotland and Mick means Ireland. That split has no historical basis whatsoever. You will also hear that one spelling is Protestant and the other Catholic. Both forms sit in both countries in both faiths. So the prefix is not a passport. It tells you about a clerk's hand and how much room was left on the page. The real story is much bigger than one abbreviation, and it starts with a question almost nobody asks about their own name. Not what does my name mean, when was my family first written down, and who was holding the pen that wrote it. Because a surname here is not a badge of blood, it is a timestamp, and these 4 countries started their clock centuries apart. Go to the Irish annals and you find a death notice entered for the year 916. A lord in what is now South County Galway. His name carries a prefix that simply means grandson of a man. That prefix stuck. It passed to his children and his children's children, and it is still a common Irish surname today. People call it the oldest true surname in Europe. Scholars still argue about whether it was properly hereditary yet. Either way, Gaelic Ireland was fixing family names to parchment, while most of England still made do with one name and a nickname. The Irish genealogists wrote those lines down for a reason. Land and rank depended on exactly whose grandson you were. A name was a legal claim. Lose the descent and you lose the ground under your feet, so the descent got written. 4 centuries later, an English parliament sitting at Kilkenny decided that names were dangerous enough to legislate. 1366 Kilkenny, a parliament passes 35 statutes, and almost everybody today gets the target of them backwards. The statutes forbid Irish names, Irish dress in the Irish language, not to the Irish, to the English colonists living in Ireland. The Crown's own settlers had gone native, they spoke Irish, they married Irish families, they took Irish names, and London panicked. Any colonist who could not speak English had to learn it, or forfeit his land and his goods. The man driving it was Lionel of Antwerp, Duke of Clarence, sent over as viceroy by Edward III in 1361. He was also Earl of Ulster, which is to say he owned land in Ireland and watched it slipping away. So the first surname law in Ireland was not written to erase Irish names, it was written to stop English families adopting them. It failed. The colony kept shrinking, the settled ground around Dublin kept narrowing, and the anxiety in the statutes kept rising. So a century later, Parliament tried the opposite direction, and this time it aimed the law straight at the Irish themselves. 1465, a statute under Edward IV names 4 counties, and everyone living inside them is about to be renamed. Dublin, Meath, Uriel, which we now call Louth, and Kildare, the 4 shires of the Pale. Every Irishman dwelling inside those 4 counties had to take an English surname, not encouraged, ordered, on penalty of forfeiting his goods. And the law handed him a menu, 4 categories to choose from, and you can still hear all 4 today. A town, Sutton, Chester, Trim, Cork, Kinsale, take the name of a place and wear it for good. A colour, white, black, brown, that is where a great many Irish whites and browns actually begin. An art, smith, carpenter, your trade becomes your family, and your children inherit the workshop whether they want it or not. An office, cook, butler, the job you did in somebody else's household turns into the name on your grandchildren's graves. The same statute told those men to dress as Englishmen and to shave the beard above the mouth. So an Irish family with a solidly English surname might never have had an English ancestor. What they had was an address. Meanwhile, in England, nobody needed a statute. A tax collector and a parish clerk did the entire job between them. By the poll tax returns of 1377 to 1381, most English families already carried a hereditary surname. The big surge runs from roughly 1250 to 1450, 2 centuries of nicknames hardening quietly into inheritance. Nobody ordered it, counting did it. If a man must be listed, taxed, and found again next year, he needs a fixed label. Then in September 1538, Thomas Cromwell issues an injunction and the English name goes from habit to hard record. Every parish church in England and Wales must keep a register of every baptism, every marriage, and every burial. The child's name, the father's name, the mother's name, written the same way in the same book, week after week. Miss it and the parish paid 3 shillings and 4 pence, a tiny fine that built the largest name archive in Europe. Once your name sits in a locked chest in a church, it stops drifting because the next clerk copies the last one. In 1597, Canterbury ordered the old paper registers copied onto parchment, and the frieze became permanent. North of the border, a very different instrument was being sharpened, not a register, a ban. 3rd of April 1603, James VI signs acts that abolish a surname, not a family, the name itself. The name was MacGregor. Anyone carrying it had to renounce it and take another one, on pain of death. Read that again. The crime was not something you did. The crime was what your father had called you. So they took whatever name kept them alive on paper, and stayed MacGregors in private for generations afterwards. Think about what that does to a family tree. A whole branch changes surname in 1 year and no blood moved at all. 6 years later, on the 24th of August 1609, 9 Hereditary chiefs came ashore on Iona. They signed the Statutes of Iona in front of Andrew Knox, Bishop of the Isles, and agreed to change their households. 9 signatures, that is who those statutes bound, the chiefly elite, not the crofters and fishermen of the west coast. Each chief had to send his eldest son to be schooled in the lowlands, in English, far away from home. Lowland Scotland had fixed surnames early. In the Highlands and the Islands, a man stayed his father's son far longer. Where a chief demanded it, tenants who shared no blood with him took his surname anyway, and the map lied about kinship. So a Scottish surname can mean descent, or it can mean a landlord's rent book, yet one country held out longer still. In Wales, a man was not a surname, he was a chain, his father's name, then his grandfather's, back as far as memory reached. The word for son of is just 2 letters, and every generation added a link. The chain itself was the record. Read it aloud and you hear 4 generations in one breath, which is exactly what the system was built to do. It works beautifully while everyone in the valley knows your family. It works terribly in an English courtroom. When English law absorbed Welsh law and court business ran in English, that chain had to collapse into one fixed word. Sometimes the link fused onto the front of the father's name and hardened there, and a whole family of surnames was born. Look at the left column, then the right. You're watching a piece of grammar turn into a surname. Everywhere else the chain simply stopped. One father's given name froze, and every generation after him inherited it unchanged. A country full of Johns and Williams and Davids became a country full of Joneses, Williamses, and Davieses within a few generations. Which sounds like a Welsh problem, right up until you open the English register and start counting the names in it. 1853, the Registrar General prints the 10 commonest surnames in the birth register for England and Wales. Smith at the top, 253,600 people, no surprise there for anybody. Jones second, 242,100, close enough behind Smith to make it a genuine race. Williams third, 159,900, Davies fifth, 113,600. Evans 7th, 93,000, then Thomas, then Roberts. Keep writing down the list and the pattern gets impossible to ignore. Sort those 10 by origin. Jones, Williams, Davies, Thomas, Evans, and Roberts are Welsh patronymic forms 6 out of 10. The commonest surnames in the English register are substantially Welsh, in a population of 18,404,000. So the idea that a surname tells you which country you come from had already collapsed in print in the 1850s. Now take Scotland in 1863. Smith sits on top there too, 44,200 people. MacDonald second, 36,600, printed by the registrar with an apostrophe instead of the full prefix. Then Brown, Thompson, Robertson, Stewart, Campbell, Wilson, Anderson, Scott. Count the Mac names in that entire top 10. One, exactly one, and the country everybody thinks the prefix belongs to, out of 3,101,000 people. If the tell was already broken in the 1850s, what on earth were families doing to their own names after that? 1894, Robert Matheson, working for the Irish Registrar General, tabulated the distribution of more than 2,600 surnames. In the 1890 birth index, Murphy heads his list, an estimated 62,600 people. 13.3 in every 1,000 people in the country. Kelly comes next at 55,900. Sullivan third at 43,600, in a population of 4,717,000. Remember that Ireland only began registering every birth, marriage, and death on the 1st of January 1864. Decades behind England and Scotland, the Irish written record is younger even though the Irish names themselves are far older. Then in 1901, Matheson published something stranger, reports from his own district registrars about names in motion. The registrar in Armagh writes that a very large number have added the O back on as a prefix. Everyone in my district who by any possibility could prefix the O has done so, he says, and it started a few years ago. Neil becomes O'Neill, Riley becomes O'Reilly, Hagan becomes O'Hagan. A whole district re-adding a prefix its grandparents had dropped. Same volume, same year, the Browshan district in the Ballymena Union reports the exact opposite movement happening. O'Hamel down to Hamel, O'Kane to Kane, O'Melon to Melon, O'Donnell to Donnell, the prefix coming off name by name. One district in Armagh bolting the O on, one district in Antrim filing it off same year, same country, opposite directions. A Gaelic League founded in 1893 pushed hard for those prefixes to return, and plenty of families obliged. So here's your answer. Your surname does not record your blood, it records when a clerk first caught your family and which clerk. A scribe, a landlord, a parliament, or a grandfather chose the spelling you signed today. Which one of them was it in your family?